the whole thing about riding at the bottom of the range. So if you like do TrainerRoad outside workouts, you'll be familiar with the fact of having a range for your power target rather than a specific number, right? You've mentioned before that you like to ride at the north end of those ranges, right? And stay there because you want to maximize the sort of benefit that you're getting, the amount of work that you're doing during that interval. What are your thoughts on shooting toward the bottom of the range versus the top of the range in this regard?
I think they touched on it. I feel like on your hard days, all bets are off. Your hard days are your hard days kind of thing. And so I always shoot for the top end of the range. And mentally, I think it's understanding that if you can't hit the top of the range, that being in the range is the next best thing. So I always start by shooting for the top end of the range, unless it's like a new workout that maybe I feel like I need to work into. And then I'll shoot for the bottom of the range and kind of work my way up through the workout. I think it's also where you sit in the zone, right? So like if you hit because they were touching on that it's the same adaptation, and it could be depending on the zone, right? Like I think my zone 2 is roughly 200 to 300 watts, like that big of a window. So it's like if I was supposed to do some work at upper zone 2, 270 to 295, I'm not sure my body would know the difference between 270 and 295. I'm still working that same zone. So I think in that regards, there is some, like, I don't know what the right word is. It's right. You could kind of hit anywhere in that zone and still be getting the same training benefit. I think that's also how I approach those intervals, right? Like I'm focused, first priority is the hard, like the 6 minutes, the 1 minutes within that workout. And then the recovery is the secondary. Like I'll still try to hit the top of the range. I think teaching my body to be able to do that much work is beneficial. And the higher the wattage I can hold when you're trying to clear lactate, then in a race, the higher the wattage you can hold when you're trying to clear lactate as well. So I think kind of training your body there, but also understanding kind of like that order of operations. Like first is those hard intervals. Next is kind of like the endurance zone 2 stuff, trying to hit that. And then the last is like that recovery period. So it's like first for me will be that recovery period falls off. Like if I'm starting to struggle, I'll just give myself that recovery period, like soft pedaling or not pedaling at all, or crying on the side of the road, whatever needs to happen. and then really focus on the work.
I think the ranges change too. Like you mentioned, if the lower the intensity, the less important the specificity to a certain degree in most cases, unless you're working on like very specific pacing for really long bike splits on a full distance triathlon or something, then specificity at low intensity is likely very important for you. But as you get higher in intensity, that range is going to shrink. That's Absolutely. Just the nature of the power zones, but then also just of what's going on. The one thing that's dangerous with that sort of thinking a lot of the time, though, is considering that your body is some sort of a system of perfect switches where you cross that watt and it's like, boom, switches flipped. And then you're within this zone. Your body is a system of faders. It's not a system of switches. And it's not quite that, like, that defined in terms of the resolution there. One thing I'll say on that is I personally think that if you're going through a season and every workout feels like it's bringing you to your knees, you're not going to perform well on your race days. You're also not going to perform well in terms of where you're going to get. The end goal will be, or the end arrival point will be lower than where it should be.
Yep.
I also think that if you go through your workouts and you're taking advantage of every opportunity to overshoot, like, you're doing those last interval hero pulls, like I have been known to do, but have really dropped back on not doing, and I don't do that anymore. When you do that, usually you're fine for another week when you really do that all out effort at the end of it, but maybe it's 2 weeks, maybe it's a 3-week loading phase that you're going through. And in that third week, you're really going to be feeling it, but because you lacked that discipline early on and you didn't just stick to the goals, then at that point, it gets really tough.
Absolutely.
Or on the opposite side of things, when you show up at that race, and let's say that you always floated at the bottom end of whatever range, but you show up for that full distance try and your goal is to go 8 hours, something like that. But then you have a headwind as a result. Because you've been training lower, you just haven't been pushing yourself quite as much. So there is like a lot of making sure that you feel out where you need to be with all this. And yes, I do agree that if you do too many all out efforts, it hurts. But I also don't think that there is a way for us to say you have X number of matches throughout the year and you cannot exceed those.
I
So
think it's very fluid between mental and physical in terms of like you said, you can't have every workout bring you to your knees. Like it's a special human that can kind of just get kicked to the ground multiple times a week and come to race day and be like sick. Like I'm ready to go. You build a lot of confidence in those workouts that you conquer, right? Like Nate was saying, like if you can crush a sweet spot workout and you could even have done one more, it's like sweet. Like I nailed that. Like I'm feeling strong. I'm ready to go. And then there's specific workouts like we were talking about with me failing my workout on Tuesday. Like this load cycle that was the goal, is like at what point do I break? At what point can I not do this anymore? And so I think it's keeping that in mind, like what is the goal and where are you in your training, right? Like if you're in an off season build and you take those hero pulls, then the downside isn't as big, right? Because you don't have a race that you can like, okay, adjust the training, give myself the extra recovery and get back to it. Whereas if you're coming up to a race, then it's like, that's when really sticking to those prescribed zones is important because they're there for a reason. And having a little extra in the tank is probably a good sign because then mentally you're ready to just empty it on race day. Um, one phrase that I've heard a lot, and I think I relate to, is you can only bleed out of your eyeballs so many times, and I think that's kind of what they're getting after here. Is like it's not so much the power or anything; it's how deep into that discomfort you can go, and I mean, unless you're a masochist, and we're probably to that extent, all of us cyclists to some point, but you can only go that deep so many times. And Nate was saying like it's super uncomfortable, but there is, I don't know, a weird pleasure in like where's the limits of my body? How far can I push it? Like, can I do another couple of seconds? Can I get to that sign? Can I, you know? And I think that's where it's in racing, you got to decouple that from the power meter, right? It's like, can I push deeper? Can I suffer more? It's like the training's in the barn. It's like, it's just, can I out suffer this person on this climb?
that's been probably the biggest difference with adaptive training ever since training with that is I feel like I don't have those moments where I'm really brought to my knees or where the workouts are too easy. I feel like everyone's just right. And as a result, I'm not overshooting my targets. I'm not undershooting them. And then I feel like it's making me race a whole lot better. So it's making me race like Brandon, or perform like Brandon, my Cape Epic teammate, our COO. He's mentioned many times that he does not, because he comes from a running background. He doesn't do the freshman kick. He doesn't sprint at the end, and he avoids that. And he just sticks to his goals with training because he knows on race day is when he really wants to save it. That's the cool thing with adaptive training, is it kind of takes care of that for you, which is
And
really
it's bringing you
exciting.
a lot of confidence. Like you come into a race knowing like I've done the work. I'm ready to go.
Yep. And
What
I
are your
haven't
what are
been
your
grinding myself down. Yeah.
what are your goals at Cape Epic for you and Brandon?
I don't even know how to really gauge it yet. Like, because I just don't, it'll be really competitive, right? Not co-ed
Yeah.
partnerships. We will not win. We won't even be close to top 10, that I'm sure, not even remotely close. So I don't know. I don't really know how to set an end goal expectation on where we should. I think that looking at it, we're going to have to ride it like, it's like tempo. If I can hold, if you can hold tempo all day, that'd be incredible for this whole race. Like it's
Yeah.
going to be long days, 6 hours, a day. So
I think you guys would have a shot for top 5 if Brandon could descend like you, but he can't. So that's going to
yeah,
take away minutes all the time. I think you're going to be pretty close to. You won't climb like Brandon either. It's the hard
no,
part is there'll be teams where people climb like Brandon and descend like you, right?
correct.
And that's
Yeah.
the thing.
With Brandon,
I
just to
think
show
top
everybody
10
how
is
crazy his
available.
fitness is,
Yeah.
we went and rode. He hadn't trained in a long time. He'd taken time off. He had twins. We went and did a really hard climb called Iowa Hill, and everyone should look up that segment on Strava. It's miserable, really hard. I think Nielsen Palace has the record right now, and I don't know how he did the time he did, but Brandon was 15 seconds off of my time, and I was in good shape, and Brandon was literally off the couch. For the rest of the ride, Brandon was dying 1,000 deaths. It was like he was having a hard time pedaling. It was bad, but it's amazing how he was not even remotely close to fit, yet he still was that close, that fast going up. Like I did 400 and I think I did 380 watts or something, or 370 watts up this climb, like big for like 14 minutes.
It reminds me, there's this meme on Instagram that was just like you riding with your friend who has like the same fitness as you, and then it was like another photo. It's like finding out that they're fueled entirely by ice cream and Oreos. It's just
and
like
that's totally Brandon
everybody
too.
has this friend. Like for me, it's Daniel. He came and rode the Grasshopper, and he hasn't been riding consistently. And it's just like, how are you even up here right now? Like he's just like
it's annoying.
5 watts per
Hard to
kilo
see.
off the couch, and he always gets mad at me because I
Hard to see
misjudge his
someone
weight.
out there
But
living your dreams, man.
Yeah,
Right.
straight up.
This is John for me. When unfit John is as fast me. Besides one day, but he was on a mountain bike and I was on a gravel bike, so that doesn't count.
Still dropped me. So
You're on
yeah,
a mountain bike.
he still dropped me.
I got dropped you on a road bike.
It's true.
If you like this video, make sure you give us a thumbs up.
If you didn't like this video, you can give it a thumbs down, but let us know what you would have done differently in the comments below.
If you want to see more of these videos, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you want to become a faster cyclist, check out TrainerRoad.com.
Do it.